me a little bit about your journey for me who's unfamiliar.
It started in what I like to call the motherland, so in Africa, Central Africa, from a country called Gabon. Born and raised there with a Congolese mom, and then after that, I was able to move to France, mostly for higher education and also to study music a little bit more. And then from there, I started my music career and some other activities. But at some point, I just felt like to expand, I needed to be based in North America. And then, yeah, I moved to Toronto, and it's been a little bit more than 6 years now. Yeah, so, and that's what I use the term bridge builder, because it's definitely been building a bridge between those communities from those different places where I've been, whether it's like living as a citizen, but also just traveling and visit. So, yeah, a lot of people with African or even Caribbean parents most of the time will relate to the fact that for your parent, most of the time being successful is either being a lawyer, an engineer, or, a doctor. So when you talk about trying to, be a full-time creative, that can be encountered with some sort of like doubt, and even rejection. So I feel that was one of the first moments. And then while I was living in France, I feel it was also just sometime, wanting to innovate and be bold. And then you might encounter some few limit based on your background. And I don't even necessarily want to say your skin color, but that might also play a role in the sense that based on your background and even your skin color, you might be put in some boxes, and then it's more about now, do you want to fit into the boxes or just be you and be different and stand out? I don't know if it's because I've been very intentional, the way I've always been moving and traveling, but most of the time, not to say all the time, when I travel, I actually feel like, oh, that's a place that actually I could stay here and live here most of the time. So to me, home is fortunately or unfortunately not just one place anymore. Just anywhere where I feel good enough, where I feel there is community, where I feel there are opportunities and things like that. So to me, home, that whole concept, yeah, is not just one place anymore. It's multiple places. And so, yeah, Toronto definitely feels like home for sure. I mean, it's actually the whole concept of loss that actually drew me into art. Because to me, I lost someone that was very dear to me, and then the way to kind of like heal was through art. That's the way actually I started art, and then yeah, so it was definitely coming, unfortunately, from a place of loss, and then music helped me, I guess, find my healing journey. And the moment I saw the way it could also impact other people, then I was like, you know what? Instead of doing it just for myself, then I can also do that for other people. And hopefully those one that might feel lost will hopefully, find their way, or at least be in the path of finding their way and heal, the way I was also able to do so through art and music mostly. We all want at some point to just make sense of things as much as possible. And I personally that music can help in that way. For instance, me, when I released my last project, because I was studying music and art in general and frequencies, because at the end of the day, when we're talking about music specifically, it's frequencies, it's waves. So I decided to actually use some frequencies with my sound engineer in the way we're mixing my album, and use some specific frequencies for just a few tracks as a start, to make sure that actually it was frequencies that were bringing natural peace. Because by the readings I was doing, then I realized that at some point in time, the frequency uses to create music were changed. But originally, the ones that were used were more natural and harmonious and could bring natural peace when you listen to those tracks. So I decided to do that on my last album. And I guess that was my sort of contribution, with everything going on. If you can play some music that help you to feel more at peace, more grounded, and get more clarity, then I feel like, I did my humble contribution, to everything going on in the world by trying to bring a sense of peace and balance to my listeners. A sense of peace, I would say when there's no stress, when there's a sort of a sense of being carefree. Yes, I would say to me that would be that, where you are aware as much as possible of what you have control over and that potential you can change, and how you also accept that there's some things that unfortunately or fortunately you cannot change and you just need to deal with it. So when you're at that very perfect position that you know what to change within your capacity and what to just accept, then I feel like that could be actually help you to bring peace and clarity. Catching, what people like to call like the zeitgeist, that concept of like the spirit of time, and making sure that then the moment you release something, it actually will resonate with a lot of things going on, because you're kind of like catching the sort of like spirit of the moment. But then, yeah, in between those creation, you might be, okay, am I off track or not? So, yeah, so those moments, yeah, for sure, it might feel a little bit challenging, and doubts can actually appear those moments. But over the years, I'm really grateful that I've learned actually way more about like meditation, and I've been actually tapping into it for the past since 2017 officially, and also been very, very helpful to, I guess, whenever I feel like I'm off track, to bring myself on track. Yeah. Originally, yeah, my vision of meditation was, yeah, the thinking should stop. But in my personal case, I just realized that I don't think the thinking will stop, because I think I might be an overthinker. And then to me, it's more, one, be more aware of the thinking, and trying your best to embrace it and to be in control of that thinking. That's why meditation looks where you are not necessarily controlled by the thinking, but more like in collaboration with the thinking, because you have that better awareness of actually the way you think and the way it's all working inside of you. To me, ego is just something that needs to be balanced, because otherwise you will, I guess, feel that you are the center of the universe, whereas, we all at some point are the center of our own universe, our own world. And it's key to just find a way, I guess, to sort of like coexist and collaborate. And the best way to do that, I feel, is when the ego is balanced, not always wanting to have everything just to yourself, but to be able to recognize also other people's contribution. And so, yeah, about balance, to me, that I would say, yeah, when it comes to ego, is something that needs to be balanced and not necessarily killed, or not something that should control you, but in the opposite, you should be more actually aware of your ego and see how you can find the best way to balance it. And learning, yeah, definitely is possible. Because I feel like, the way your mind works is kind of like programming yourself, right? Everything's about perspective. So at some point we get some new information that maybe that would change now the way you see things. So I guess you can unlearn stuff. But what is true is that there's some stuff that you cannot unsee, or I guess and hear, because you heard those things, you've seen those things, but that already happened. Then what you can maybe change is now the way you will react to those things. So I guess that's the unlearning part, where maybe you will change the way you react to some things. So I guess, yeah, it's possible. Sometimes it can require a lot of work, and the way you will now try to arrange your mind, and the way now some neural connection will be done and organized, but it's possible. Sometimes it just takes a long time, and you have to keep pushing. I mean, definitely back in the day, to me, being successful was associated with fame and big money, flashing lights, paparazzis, and all of that. So, yeah. But now, over the years, to me, being successful, to be honest, is just being at peace and having integrity and knowing that you are aligned with your purpose and there's still, that alignment. So I would say I like to call that purpose and alignment. As long as you feel that is purpose and alignment, then to me you are being successful because you're on track with whatever you're meant to do on this planet, you're on track. So as long as you feel like, yep, I'm on track, I'm not late, I'm not in advance, I'm on track, then to me you are successful. Yeah, it definitely can be tough. So you need to find ways to, again, going back to balance, right? Where maybe sometime you might need to go into a retreat or take a break or anything that make you not fully like lose yourself in that battle. And that's why also it goes back to that community, right? Because if everybody do a little, then there won't be one person or few person that will need to do a lot. So that's why I feel like the more you have here some support group, then hopefully you'll be able to not lose hope and still find a way to keep fighting and still remain optimistic. Yeah, I think I'll learn it the hard way for sure. But then, I'm still alive, so you learn some lessons, and at some point you just, yeah, trying to not repeat those mistakes and learn from there, and then hopefully share that message. But yeah, unfortunately, I've been in few situations where I definitely felt like I was burning myself out. Yeah, because sometimes I feel like when you just working on something or you're just so passionate, it can be hard to stop because you just feel like there's sort of like momentum, like you don't want to lose, that is something happening. And so it's definitely easier said than done for sure because, especially when it comes to creative, you might be very, very passionate about something and just don't want to stop. But again, you'll see, I guess it's the way you test your limits, right? The more you would know exactly where are your limits. So by saving time, then it can make you be able to actually accomplish more, and at least experience more stuff in the sense that I like that quote about, sitting on the shoulder of a giant, to see further in the sense that, yeah, if you just ask the right question and put ego aside and all the type of things, then I feel like, yeah, you'll be able to actually do things in a better way in the sense that most of the time, anything that you want to do, there's always at least one person that have done that before, even though it's not the exact same way, but they've done it in some type of way. So then if you're able to learn from them, then I feel like you'll be able to go further or just to create your own path, but to create that path faster because you have learned from someone who's been also having a similar journey. So to me, I guess, yeah, it's the idea of just going as far as possible. Yeah, I feel like I'm always learning, and it's interesting how like the more I feel like I learn, the more I observe, the more I study, then the more I realize that I don't necessarily know much actually. So that's why I feel like it's just like a never-ending journey. But beside learning and observing, one thing for sure is that you need to keep moving forward to also be, taking action with whatever level of knowledge you have, right? So it's always finding that balance between knowledge and just taking action and being on the field. No matter the knowledge or even the money, the wealth that you are accumulating, at some point in some way or another, we just want to share it, right? So the best way to do it is then to build a community or to join one that is already existing. But I definitely feel like it's actually human nature, the want and the need to share. So even when you observe, little kids playing, when we're all kids, babies, at some point we all want to share. That's human nature personally. And I feel like by doing that, I'm just going back to my sort of like, that childlike vibe and nature, because at some point that's how we are at the end of the day, like those kids that just at some point had to face society. But to me, I'm just trying to go back to the essence, I guess. And I feel like naturally as human beings, we all want to share.